Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into an incredibly frustrating mystery. Why does the scale suddenly jump right before your period, even when your nutrition has been absolutely spotless? If you've ever felt completely betrayed by the bathroom scale during that specific time of the month, well, you're definitely in the right place. Let's start with a scenario that I bet is going to sound highly relatable. You've been in a consistent calorie deficit. Your weight has been beautifully trending down. But then, literally days before your period, the scale suddenly jumps by a whole kilogram, or maybe even more. You feel bloated, you're noticeably hungrier, your jeans just fit differently, and your immediate panicked reaction is, oh no, did I just gain all the weight back? Okay, let's take a deep breath and establish our absolute most important rule right out of the gate. A temporary increase on the scale does not automatically equal the exact same amount of body fat gain. We really need to separate the whole idea of body weight from body fat, because honestly, they just aren't the same measurement. And the reason for this is actually pretty simple. Real body fat takes significant time to build. We're talking weeks of a sustained energy surplus. Scale weight, on the other hand, that reflects absolutely everything inside your body at that exact second. That means water, the physical weight of food and drinks moving through your digestive system, and stored carbohydrates, which we call glycogen. The scale fluctuates in hours, not weeks. So let's get into Section 1, the science of the scale, and see what is actually happening under the hood. Specifically, we need to talk about the luteal phase. This is the second half of your menstrual cycle, kicking off right after ovulation and wrapping up when your period begins. During this window, changing levels of hormones, especially estrogen and progesterone, are actively preparing your body for a potential pregnancy. And that biological prep work triggers some very real systemic physical changes. Let's break down those shifts, because it's kind of like a hormonal roller coaster. As you get closer to your period, progesterone and estrogen levels are fluctuating pretty dramatically. The real kicker here is that as progesterone eventually drops off toward the end of this phase, another hormone called aldosterone actually rises. Aldosterone is essentially a chemical text message to your kidneys, telling them to hold on to sodium and fluid. And since water always follows sodium, your body retains water. This extra fluid literally just sits between your cells, in your abdomen, your hands, your feet, and that right there is what's actually moving the needle on the scale. When we look at the hard data, it is absolutely fascinating. A 2023 body composition study found that the average 0.45 kilograms scale increase during menstruation is almost entirely accounted for by an increase in extracellular water. The 0.7 kilogram water increase perfectly mirrors that total weight jump. You know what that means? You aren't magically gaining a pound of fat overnight. You are literally just holding a pound of water. Which brings us to the dreaded bloat. Period bloating and the scale are technically two different experiences, but man, they almost always hit at the exact same time. Progesterone actually relaxes smooth muscle all over your body, and that includes your gut. This physically slows down your digestion, leading to distension, gas, and constipation. It absolutely changes how your clothes fit, but a tighter waistband because of slowed gut motility, that definitely does not mean you failed your diet. Moving on to Section 2, hunger is biology. Let's look at exactly why your appetite changes so much. This whole phase creates a perfect storm for your appetite. We've got two main things happening here, neurochemical and metabolic. Neurochemically, your brain's feel-good neurotransmitter, serotonin, takes a noticeable dip during the luteal phase. To restore that balance, your brain naturally drives cravings for carbs. Why? Because carbohydrates actually help produce serotonin. Then, on the metabolic side, your resting metabolic rate genuinely increases. Your body is quite literally burning anywhere from 100 to 300 extra calories a day just to do its job. It's working overtime. And it gets even more interesting. Research from the German Center for Diabetes Research highlights some wild additional factors. They found that the brain's insulin sensitivity actually decreases during the luteal phase. What does that mean in plain English? It means your blood sugar can become a lot less stable, creating mild insulin resistance that further amplifies those hunger signals. It makes you feel like you just can't get full. Plus, if you do give in to those carb cravings, keep in mind that higher carbohydrate intake stores more glycogen in your muscles, and glycogen brings even more temporary water weight along for the ride. So the crucial point to remember is this: hunger can and absolutely will change. Wanting more to eat in the week leading up to your period is a pure physiological signal that your body is working harder and literally needs fuel. It is a biological response. It is not a character flaw or a lack of willpower. Now for Section 3, Sustainable strategies. Here is how we can support your body without turning to extreme restriction. Instead of reacting to all these bodily changes by aggressively cutting calories, which honestly is only going to make you feel 10 times worse, you can support your body with a few practical steps. First, prioritize protein and fiber to help stabilize that roller coaster blood sugar. Second, go for satisfying higher volume meals. Third, I know it sounds totally counterintuitive when you feel bloated, but stay adequately hydrated. Drinking plenty of water actually helps your body flush out that excess sodium. And fourth, prioritize your sleep to aid in overall recovery, especially since progesterone has a nasty habit of disrupting your sleep quality. It is also incredibly helpful to practice gentle nutrition and adjust your lifestyle a bit. Try to maintain regular meals to keep your energy steady. Be mindful of calorie-dense foods, but please do not label them as bad. Allow yourself the flexibility to enjoy foods you genuinely crave. Just try to balance them out. You might also want to limit excess salt if you know you're prone to heavy water retention. And maybe most importantly, adjust your expectations for your energy levels. If you need a restorative yoga session instead of a heavy weightlifting day during this week, that is perfectly 100% fine. Remember this absolutely vital takeaway. Your cycle can hide your progress. If you are generally maintaining a calorie deficit, you are more than likely still losing fat. The temporary water retention, the extra glycogen storage, the slowed down digestion, these are simply a mask. They are just temporarily hiding your hard-earned progress on the scale. This brings us to section 4. The trend is the story. Let's talk about reframing the data. Let's look at how a realistic cycle actually plays out. Say you start at a baseline of 60 kilograms. The luteal phase kicks in, and you take up to 60.2. Then, as that water retention really builds, you climb to a pre-period peak of 61.0 kilograms. Now, if you only looked at that peak day, you'd probably panic. But watch what happens next. Your period begins, you drop to 60.5, and just a few days later, when the fluid completely settles out, you're sitting at 59.7 kilograms. Your true progress is finally revealed, showing a beautiful, long-term downward trend. Comparing today's weight only with yesterday's is a guaranteed way to drive yourself totally crazy. It's like comparing apples to oranges. If you are going to track your weight, it is infinitely more scientifically sound and honestly much better for your mental health to compare your weight at similar points across different menstrual cycles. Compare your luteal phase this month to your luteal phase last month. You have to zoom out and look at the broader trend. The ultimate goal here is not to fight normal, healthy changes in your menstrual cycle. The goal is to understand them. Because when you understand the biology, you stop interpreting every single temporary physical fluctuation as proof that all your efforts have failed. Calories and scale weight are just information. They are simply data points, not reasons to feel guilty. I absolutely love this quote. Track the trend, not the panic. Your cycle certainly has the power to temporarily change the number on the scale, but it does not have the power to erase your progress. So I want to leave you with this thought. If your body is working this incredibly hard to prepare, protect, and regulate itself every single month, isn't it time we started working with our biology instead of punishing it for doing its job? Remember, one weigh-in is just a data point, but the trend is your actual story. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.